Hi, I'm Patrick Benner. I'm a faculty fellow at Ivy Tech on the Lafayette campus. Last year I was an adjunct instructor at Lafayette teaching IT SP 135 last fall and this spring. And I also taught it at high school for dual credit with Ivy Tech. So here we are at video number 1, and we're going to construct a computer. Over here I've got a HP Compact 4000 that I picked up in the library sale for $20, and it runs Windows 7. And so I took it apart, and we're going to look at how to put this back together. Here I have my motherboard. Now HP has in this Compact 4000 what they refer to as a small form factor motherboard. So there's not really an industry standard for small form factor, but this one is somewhere in between ATX and mini ATX. So this one is about 8 1/4 by 10 3/4. So like I said, it's a little bit smaller than a full-size board. And actually, before we put this in the case, we're going to install a couple of things. We've got our CPU here. This is an LGA 775 socket, and so I don't know if you're going to be able to pick up on this or not. We've got our arrow there on that corner, and that's going to correspond to the corner on our motherboard that's got the pin missing. So we're going to very carefully install that in, put the case down, and then we're going to lock it down with that lever. Now the other thing that we're going to install here is our RAM chip. Now this board supports DDR3, and we'll talk about DDR3 in the next video, but this is a PC3 or DDR3 12800 unbuffered. We've got 2 RAM slots here, and so we're going to put this one in this slot. We've got our notch here that corresponds to the notch there, so there's only one way this is going to be able to fit into the board. So we're going to start it like that, and then just apply equal pressure on both sides until we hear that nice snap noise that we want to hear. And so now we've got our RAM installed. At this point, my heat sink is rather large, so we're going to wait and put that in after we've got the motherboard in the case. And HP did not put 1 micron of extra space in here, so this is a bit of a tight fit. And we're going to line that up with our standoffs in the case. For this demonstration, I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'm just going to put a couple of these in. Normally in a classroom setting, we would go ahead and install all of these. And again, HP's got their own little flathead screws. I much prefer a Phillips because they're a lot easier to grab onto. So while I'm doing this, I'll talk about some of the other slots we've got on this board. Besides the CPU and the RAM that we looked at, we've got 2 PCI slots here, the white slots, and then we've got a PCIe 16 and a PCIe 1 right there. So if I get one more of these in here. Now, one thing HP does a nice job of is kind of modularizing these components to go in the board. So now that we've got our motherboard somewhat secured, and as I said in the classroom, we'd secure the whole thing. But now we're going to install our heatsink. We do have some thermal paste here, and the point of thermal paste is to facilitate the transfer of heat from the PCU to the heatsink. And this is a passive heat sink that uses a series of basically like a car radiator. So it's got a lot of surface area on it to help dissipate the heat. Right. Okay, now we've got our heatsink installed. And so the next thing we're going to install is our hard drive. Now this is a SATA hard drive, 250 gig Seagate, and in this particular case, this is going to just drop right down in and just kind of lock in like that. Now, before I do that though, I'm going to attach my cables. Like that. My power cable. Like that. Just to make things a little easier, because this is going to start filling up really fast. So I get it in there and that just snaps in so it's nice and solid. Now, we've got our hard drive installed. The next thing we're going to do is install our power supply. And that's going to go in the back here. And then that just folds in just like that. And the next thing we've got is, this is actually a DVD read-write drive. So we're going to put that in here. That feeds in through the front. And then we're going to secure that with, again, thank you HP, some flathead screws. And I apologize for having to watch me install these screws. My recording software does not have a pause function. Otherwise, we'd be able to speed through some of this process. Again, to save some time here, I'm just going to secure this one side, and once we're done with the video, I'll open this back up and get the other side secured. Alright, so we've got that. Now, in the bring that around here. We've got our connectors here that we need to feed through to power the front of the case. In some cases, I've seen a lot of them actually that I've worked with. You have a whole lot of little baby connectors here that go on specific pins on the board, and you have to have the motherboard documentation to be able to figure out what pin goes where. So at this point, we have all of our major components installed. So now at this point, we need to just get everything connected up to the board. So first, we're going to do the power supply because that's going to be the hardest to get to once we do it first. So we've got that. 6-pin. This is our power for our hard drive and our DVD drive. So now we've got power to those, or we will soon have. So one nice thing HP does, all of these are color coded. So I'll get all those connected up to the board, and again these are to run all the items on the front of the board, such as our USB slots, the on-off switch, microphone, headphones. First, so that's the tiniest. Take this back out. All right. So we've got all those done. So now let's see what we've got. Power to our hard drive. We need to connect the SATA cable to the board. We've got two SATA connectors here, the white one and the blue one. The blue one's marked SATA 0, the white one's SATA 1. So we're going to plug the hard drive into SATA 0. And with our SATA cable for the CD drive. And plug that into SATA 1. Now we still need to get power to our CD drive up here. So we'll connect that up there. So we've got our front panel connected, we've got power and SATA cable to the CD drive, we've got power and SATA cable to the hard drive, we've got our power supply in the board, we've got one other power supply connector here. That's in this extra 4-pin slot. Now we've got the last thing we've got really to plug in is the case fan, which is here in the front. Now, one nice thing that HP does is they give us this, which is serves two purposes. Helps us with cable management, and it also helps direct the airflow into the case. Because to have proper airflow, we've got air coming in through the front, through the fan, and then this is going to help direct it straight over the heat sink, and then blow the hot air out the rear of the case. So get that installed. And like I said, we got this piece here to help us with some cable management. We'll drop our CD drive down, and before we close up, the last thing we got is to reattach the front of the case. And that's all there is to assembling a PC. So I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on video number 2. Thanks.